everybody, it's Ellie from Pages and Ink, and I solemnly swear I am up to no good. Hi. So, yesterday I was trying to come up with another video to do as well as my book talk, and I know I'm doing them today and not yesterday. By the way, today's Saturday, which means yesterday was Friday, which is when I was actually going to do these videos, but my laptop restarted, it had to update, and I was in the middle of filming when it did it too. I was like, it's too late to do it again because it was like 9 o'clock, and by the time I would have actually had it update and record it again and edit it, it would be like 11:30, and I was like, I might as well just do it tomorrow when most people are actually awake. So here I am. I apologize for this. I'm getting over a cold, so I probably sound pretty bad, and I'll probably end up coughing, and I'm sorry. But I wanted to do this because I needed to get in the habit of doing them, otherwise I'm going to fall behind again like the end of last year. But without further ado, I introduce a new idea that I'm going to be doing every Friday, I hope, which is Fave Fridays, or Friday favorites. Basically, there's a bunch of topics and books and genres in this jar, and every Friday I'm going to pull one out and I'm going to do a whole video on it. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I have a tendency to ramble. I try to keep a structure to my videos, but these are going to be completely unstructured. I'm just going to pretty much say whatever is on my mind about these things, which is probably not the best idea, just because it'll either lead to me A, repeating a bunch of things, or B, leaving out a bunch of things. But I figured it'll actually help me to make more videos because I won't have to worry about trying to structure them and plan them out, because I'm actually pretty terrible at planning. I have never been able to keep like a planner, for example. But this is my idea, this is my project, and there's not enough in this to do for every Friday of this year, so I'm going to have to come up with more, but for now, it'll work. And without further ado, my very first Friday favorite topic, or Fave Fridays, which is Uprooted, a book by Naomi Novik, which is actually right here, so that was pretty easy. And I wouldn't necessarily say that this book was my favorite that I read, but the reason I put it in this jar is because after so much time of not reading it, I have come to actually really appreciate all the thought and all the detail that has gone into this book. And it's really kind of, she's more or less created her own fairy tale, because it's not like any fairy tale that, for example, Disney has made movies about. It's a lot darker, but it's also a lot more magical in a way. So, if you don't know anything about this book is about a world/town in which every year there is a girl taken, I believe it's every year. I haven't read it in a while, so this is all just from what I remember. She's taken from her town by a man they call the Dragon, who's like this sorcerer, this wizard, and he's kind of made this deal with them that he will take a girl from their village every year to his tower as like a payment in a way, for him protecting the town. And one year this girl ends up being picked, and she doesn't think she's going to be chosen, and lo and behold, she is. So he takes her to her tower, and she expects the worst. She expects him to take advantage of her and not necessarily kill her, because the girls that he takes often come back with, and they go off to live in bigger cities because they've grown so accustomed to luxuries that small towns can't provide where big cities can. So she kind of, she's made to serve him a little bit as well, which of course she doesn't really like, but she learns a lot about herself while she's there, and he starts to kind of train her in the ways of magic a little bit, but it's only when she starts to kind of show potential in this. and he doesn't really do anything negative. There's one character that does, but he's not completely associated with the dragon. He's more of like, he comes from the kingdom and he comes and visits type thing. What I really did like about this world was the like forest. It's like the Forbidden Forest. It's slowly, the reason that the dragon is protecting the town is because this forest, much like, for example, if you've seen it, not many people have, but there's a movie by Studio Ghibli called Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. And in that movie, there is this place called the Toxic Jungle, which is slowly kind of expanding to cover the earth. And in Uprooted, it's kind of a similar thing, except instead of the jungle forest thing being like toxic with like the plants in the air, it's actually more along the lines of the forest is literally trying to kill off the human race in a way. So anyone that gets like too close, the trees will like try to kill, and all the creatures inside it are just trying to kill everybody. And there's also like disease that comes from it as well, so in a way it is also toxic. So that's why the dragon's protecting them. But what I liked about it was where it all started. So if I remember the story correctly, the reason the forest is so evil is because of a bad seed, kind of. Like, there's this one tree, or this ancient being, pretty much, that, like, was turned to just this hateful, negative thing. And it wasn't always that way. But because of that, it slowly started to infect everything around it. And that kind of concept is kind of like, when you're angry, a lot of people have a tendency to explode onto other people, and then those people will explode onto other people, and it's kind of like this never-ending explosion. And I think that's why a lot of people are just so angry sometimes. So I feel like when you're angry, you should just kind of step away from the situation, take a couple deep breaths, and try not to explode onto anybody, because they'll explode on other people, and it'll taint everything, and eventually everybody will be so mad, you just won't be able to get anything done. I work in a retail store, so that's not like a big thing, but if you're working, for example, in an office, like my father is an IT person, he works with a lot of different people to get things done, and when people are angry, from what I understand, things really just don't get done. So that's what I would say about that one. But the fact that that is where, told you I rambled. The fact that that is where that all started and kind of like spread out is just kind of really interesting, as well as the fact that there's like some ancient magics in the story that nobody can really use except for the main character. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Throne of Glass, where there's like this ancient magic that has been pretty much outlawed. Really nobody knows how to use it, not even the main character, but after time they kind of start to be able to read it because she gets help by somebody who still kind of more or less knows the magic. So it's actually a pretty cool story, and I've kind of, the reason I think at the time that I wasn't as excited or wasn't as into it as I could have been is because I was going through something personal at the time, and I just couldn't really dive myself into another world when my world was just so up in my face at the time. But now, with much time has passed, I've kind of come to appreciate it a little bit more. There's a lot to the story that it's obvious that there's a lot of thought that's been put into it, and I actually really want to give her props, because it's really, as a writer that has not finished any of her stories, I think it's really great that she's made something so original and has been able to accomplish publishing it out. And I believe, if I remember correctly, and I could be totally wrong, and this video isn't even about me fact checking. I almost never fact check. I don't go back and go, oh, I was wrong. So never, unless I'm talking about an opinion, I would look up everything factual that I say, because I'm probably wrong or misremembering. But if I remember correctly, Uprooted did win a Goodreads award for the year it was published, which I believe was 2016. No, I think I read it in 2016. But 2015 is when it was published. I think. Because 2016 just ended, and it wasn't on that list. So I'm pretty sure it was 2015. especially since this is a paperback copy of it. When were you published? 2015. Aha! So it got the 2015 Goodreads award, if I remember correctly. My word for it. This is a pretty good example of like a high fantasy magical based story. So if you're looking for one of those, when I first read it, I probably wouldn't have recommended this. So that's actually all I have to say. So tune in again next week. I should have 2 videos at least, another Fave Friday. There we go. Fave Friday. As well as probably my Owl Crate unboxing, because I usually get it somewhere between the 18th and the 24th. Lately it's been earlier rather than later, so I may get it about the 18th, which I believe is a Wednesday. Yes, it's a Wednesday. So I'll either get it the 18th or maybe the 20th, which is a Friday. So I could even have my box on a Friday, and I'll have my 2 videos for Friday. I'm also planning on I've been between books that I want to read at the moment, so I think I may actually finally get to Cruel Beauty, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling by Rosamund Hodge, I believe. Which I've been meaning to read and I've just never gotten around to, but Beauty and the Beast is kind of, because it's releasing this year, I'm actually super excited and I want to read a couple more retellings, because the only 2 that I can think that I've read are, I have made comparisons, but that is not a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Lost my train of thought. Oh! A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book, is supposed to be Beauty and the Beast retelling, and then Beastly by Alex Flynn. A Court of Thorns and Roses is Sarah J. Maas. I have made parallels between The Wrath of the Dawn by Renee Adhay as well to Beauty and the Beast, but it's not a retelling. It's of Beauty and the Beast. It's a retelling of excuse me, 1,000 Nights. Jeez, sorry. Okay, so that is all I'm going to talk about today. I will see you again next week. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoy my ramblings on Fridays. Just thank you so much. I love you guys. I will see you very soon. Happy reading.